On October 28, 2013, Val Kilmer tweeted, "I once tickled Lou Reed. I regretted it for the longest while, as he spoke to me a few times after that dinner, but I'm glad now. He needed it." This is the Museum of Twitter, the show we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. The absolute legend Val Kilmer passed away on Tuesday, so I thought it was only appropriate to cover his most important tweet. I had seen this tweet before, but people were retweeting it a lot when the news of his death came out. Val was an incredibly special actor. He made choices that no one else would make. He was such an interesting guy on screen. And just to do this episode, I pulled out the 3 Val Kilmer movies I have in my Blu-ray collection. We got Top Gun Maverick, Heat, and then Tombstone, where his performance as Doc Holliday is easily one of my top 20 favorite performances in any movie ever. But anyway, let's get back to the tweet. Val is talking about how he once tickled Lou Reed. Now, if you're young or not interested in music at all, you might not know who Lou Reed is. Lou Reed was the frontman of the Velvet Underground. He is considered one of the most influential musicians in history. He also does not seem like the type of guy who would appreciate being tickled. But the important piece of context for this tweet is that Val tweeted it the day after Lou Reed passed away. So his way of eulogizing Lou Reed was to bring the story of the time he tickled him. By the way, as people have been retweeting this tweet in the past few days, it has not been lost on people that this is how he eulogized people. Emma says, "This is how Val memorialized Lou Reed the day he passed, by the way." And so if you have any stories about tickling Val Kilmer, please share them. But anyway, the reason I love this tweet is because of the last 2 sentences, "But I'm glad now he needed it." Because as Val mentions, this definitely caused a rift in his relationship with Lou Reed. He spoke to him less after the dinner where he tickled him. And maybe it was just circumstances, but Val certainly thinks that the reason he stopped talking to him as much is because he tickled him. But when Lou passed away, Val was like, yeah, he needed that tickling. Of course, you might think by the fact that he said that maybe Lou died after a struggle with depression, but no, he died of liver disease. So I'm not really sure what the "he needed that" means, but I do appreciate Val's thought. It's a very, very sweet thought, in my opinion. Now, a thought that I don't understand at all is that if you actually go on the tweet, Val responded to his own tweet 2 days later. Is it with another thought about Lou Reed? Is it with another thought about tickling? No, it is me as Mark Twain with a photo of him as Mark Twain. Because apparently, and I didn't know this until researching for this episode, Val Kilmer was obsessed with Mark Twain and kept putting on like a one-man show or saying he was going to do a one-man show as Mark Twain. He eventually did it in New Orleans, a show called Cinema Twain. But this is a thing he apparently was doing for like a decade, where he would put up videos or promotions of him dressed as Mark Twain. Certainly an interesting thing to be interested in, and I say that with no irony. Now, why did he put this as a follow-up to his tweet about tickling Lou Reed? I honestly have no idea. Maybe he did it in the way that some people will like promote something under a popular tweet, but I don't know if Val was social media savvy enough to think of that. Or maybe he just thought it was good to keep all of his thoughts together. I have no idea. But it is such a wonderful non sequitur to see a story about tickling Lou Reed, and then right under it, me as Mark Twain. As I mentioned, people have been bringing up this tweet a lot in the past few days. Marlo Stern quoted it and said, "A life lived." Michael Friedrich says, "Val Kilmer is tickling Lou Reed in the afterworld for eternity." Although I don't know if Lou Reed wants that, given the fact that he stopped speaking to Val Kilmer after that. And this isn't just a tweet that people dug up. People were aware of this tweet for the longest. When Val Kilmer had his documentary Val come out, John Frankensteiner said, "Disappointed the Val Kilmer documentary didn't cover this event, but at least it exists as one of the greatest posts in Twitter history." Stephen Hayden says, "There should be a Lou Reed biopic focused exclusively on this encounter." And even on the day of, people were commenting on it. Film critic Bill Gillabiri said, "Val Kilmer tickling Lou Reed isn't shocking. Now, if Lou Reed had tickled Val Kilmer, that would be shocking." Because that is true. Val Kilmer definitely seems like the type of guy who would randomly start tickling someone, and then be a little confused and sad if that maybe ruined the relationship. But I hope it didn't. I hope it was just Lou being complacent. I don't like the idea that Lou Reed would shut Val Kilmer out of his life because he got tickled. I'm not someone who particularly loves getting tickled, but if Val Kilmer tickled me, that'd be fine. Is there a lesson from this tweet? I'm not really sure. I want to say it's something like, tickle who you want to tickle, but that sounds like you're just invading people's personal space, so I don't want to say that. But if there are people that you trust, people that wouldn't mind being tickled, tickle them. I don't mean that literally, I mean it in the metaphorical sense, unless you do actually want to tickle them. Because I think what Val Kilmer is getting at is that it is better to have tickled Lou Reed and to maybe regret it than to not tickle Lou Reed at all. I don't know if I actually believe that. Sometimes I just start saying a sentence and I finish it. But in any event, rest in peace, Val Kilmer. You're my huckleberry. Follow me for a new tweet every day, and if you like the show and want to get more, please consider subscribing to my Patreon, patreon.com/Museum of Twitter. You can vote when I cover on Subscriber Sundays, and you get the weekly Museum of Not Twitter.